order, starting off by reading the Native Solidarity Statement. So we'd like to acknowledge that Concordia University is on the traditional territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka, a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst nations. The Concordia Student Union recognizes and respects the Kanien'kehá:ka as the traditional custodians of the lands and waters on which we meet today. So welcome everybody. The roll call sheet hopefully is going around. There it is in the corner. If you haven't gotten a chance to sign in, please make sure you do so. I have a little admin as far as regrets and requests for excusals go, so we'll just go through those right now. Terry says that he will be a bit late because of a Board of Governors meeting and sends his apologies, but should be here shortly. Joseph sends his apologies and will unfortunately not be able to make it tonight. Now, as far as requests for excusals go, I have 3. The first being from Lori, who writes, "Hey Matt, I'm requesting an excusal for council tonight. I hope all is well on your end. I, on the other hand, am not feeling well at all. Please send my regrets to counselors. If anyone has any questions or would like to talk, my door is always open. Hoping that they could excuse my absence. Thank you for your understanding. Regrets, Lori." Next up is Ben, who writes, "As some of you may know, I've recently accepted a position as an AVEC coordinator. This and a generally challenging month has resulted in a scheduling mix-up, and I unfortunately double-booked myself for an important event tonight. For this reason, I ask council for an excusal from tonight's meeting, apologize for the oversight, and appreciate council's understanding. As a side comment, I would like to add that I am happy to see Reggie's is moving forward in a way that is very positive. Thank you and have a good meeting. Very best, Ben." Third and last request for excusal comes from Haley, who writes, "I will not be able to attend tonight's council meeting as last minute my future roommate insisted that tonight at 7 was the only time we will have to check out our new apartment before we move in. If council is still going on around 8, I will hopefully be able to catch to the end of it. Wishing you all a good evening, Haley." Jenna.
Move to excuse all of them.
Okay, so that's a motion to excuse Haley and Ben and Lori? Okay. Seconded by Eloise. Does anyone call the vote? Otherwise, it could be accepted by unanimity. Okay, accepted by unanimity. Thank you, everybody. That does it for roll call, requests for excusal, and such. Approval of the agenda. Are there any modifications? Yes, Jenna?
Yeah, can I pull the minutes out of the consent agenda?
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to put that at the beginning of new business. Substantive? Yeah.
Wherever you think is best.
Okay. Okay, I had a request today from Terry to add an informational point called student tribunals. So I'll add that as the second point in new business informational. Any other modifications to the agenda? Chloe.
I would like to add under appointments, 6C, the clubs and space committee. 6C, the library fund committee. And D, the student information system student user group.
Okay, so that was Clubs and Space, Library Fund Committee, and, sorry, the third one was?
Student information system student user group.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further changes to the agenda or anything pulled from the consent agenda? Okay, nothing further then. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight? Okay, Lucy, seconded by. All right, Adrian, thank you very much. Those in favor of accepting tonight's agenda, therefore ratifying the consent agenda? Okay, those opposed? And any abstentions? Thank you very much. Okay, that'll take us to the first point of the evening, which is appointments. The first is finance. That would be Chloe.
That would be me.
So Finance Committee is responsible for overseeing the finances of the CSU. There's still one seat available on this committee. I guess if there's any new counselors who aren't on any committees, this might be a great opportunity to join a committee. Typically, counselors sit on at least one committee, if not more committees. So this would be your time to nominate yourself, motivate for yourself. All right. Clubs and Space Committee is responsible for overseeing the clubs and spaces of Concordia. You get to look at all of the budgets, plus approve new clubs that are coming in. There's 2 seats open on this committee. So again, if new counselors or anyone else wants to nominate themselves for this committee, that would be your time. Library Fund Committee is a super fun committee. We get to oversee the joint fund between the students put in half of it and then the libraries put in half, and we get to make decisions on where that money goes. For example, the library's being open 24 hours as a result of this fund. The laptops is also, there's 2 more meetings this year. They take place on Thursdays at noon, from noon till 2. So if you have that time generally free, this is a committee for you to join. There's still 1 seat.
Yeah, good job. All right. So a seconder for that. Thank you very much. At least care to say a word?
Oh yeah, I really benefited a lot from the laptops for a full year, so not having a laptop on my own. Yeah, that's all I care.
How many late fees did you pay?
$40. I think it's pretty good.
All right. Yes, Marcus.
Can we like get rid of those? Yeah. The late fees, because they're brutal.
What?
Are we talking about laptops?
All right, Eloise is on the job. Any further questions? Okay, great. Does somebody call the vote for Eloise to be on the Library Fund Committee? Oh, sorry, Geneviève. No, okay, sorry. Okay, great. Approved by unanimity. Thank you very much, Eloise. Which takes us to the last of the appointments.
All right, so the last one is the Student Information System Student User Group.
The SIS, which is the system that we use to sign up for classes and do all those fun things, have put together a committee of undergraduate students, graduate students, and then people from the SIS group to discuss issues within it. And we're still looking for an undergraduate student from Fine Arts and from Engineering to sit on this committee. So if you're from either of those departments and you want to sit on this committee, I think they're going to meet once or twice over the course of this semester, and they're going to make the meeting time based on everyone's availabilities.
All right, that concludes another round of class. Taking us right into this informational. Now, the first of these points is the mid-mandate report, but Terry is not here yet. I don't know if maybe an executive can speak to that. Should we table that until later? Yeah, well. You guys can speak to it? Yeah. Okay, great. I open the floor to the executive then.
So yeah, the mid-mandate report was submitted. If anyone has questions, like now is the time to ask. It mainly serves as like a point of institutional knowledge for the executives next year, and like our year-end report is going to build largely off of this. We've been doing like a lot of stuff, and like most of it is listed in there. So yeah, you received the content of the document, but it's going to also look very pretty in its final form. So if you ever want to follow up with it again, you can look at it, and the graphic designers are going to finish formatting it and having it all nicely done for next year's executives, so they can follow up on it and see what we did and like where they should be, as well as for when they plan their exec work plans and all that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
You can.
Yeah. Is this document like only for executive counselors, or can non-executive counselors read this document?
Well, anyone who has access to the council mailing list can read it. It's not like it's public in the sense that like anyone can have access to it. Yeah, it's not a private document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing further, then we can proceed to the next agenda item. Though again, this is something that was the request of Terry to put on the agenda, so yeah, Gabe, could you maybe speak to that?
Well, I'm not going to speak to it. I'm just going to, I guess maybe you could let me know how I'd move it to 9E and then have it go back to back with the other closed session document.
Right.
Because yeah, Terry has the information around this, so he's finishing up his Board of Governors meeting, so we wasn't sure what time he'd be here, but he's not here, so I guess we do that.
Usually, do we accept the management report?
Well, my operating of Robert's Rules is that once a document is submitted on an agenda point item, then it's voted in as such, but I know that the CSU's tradition has also been to submit a motion as well, so I'd be open to a motion to formally extra verify that it's been received.
Well, that's fine, just if everyone's clear that we closed it and accepted it and it's going in the archive bookcase. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure that's clear.
No, absolutely, it's important to
Thanks.
verify it. I mean, I hope that's everybody's understanding. Yeah, all right, thank you. Okay, so in that case, maybe to move it at the end of new business, after the other closed session points? Okay, well, that would require a motion as well. We can just defer that to when Terry is back. Yay.
So yeah, motion to move it to point 9E.
Okay, great. Is there a second here? Yeah, thank you. Anybody opposed to tabling this agenda item to the end of new business? Okay, great. So do that. With that tabled, we can proceed to substantive new business, starting with the pulled minutes from the last regular council meeting. And Jenna, was you that pulled these?
Yeah, I just want to make a correction because the minutes state that I was excused, but I never sent in an excusal, so I believe the person may have been Jenna who sent in the excusal.
That is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Jenna, tough call. Yeah, so those corrections are definitely going to be made if they haven't been already. With that being said, we now need a motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes. Yeah, Marcus?
Also, near the end of the document, you misquoted me as saying Terry has an intimating vocabulary, whereas I actually said he has an intimidating vocabulary. So if we could change that too, that'd be great.
So encouraging to see people thoroughly reading their minutes. Still needing a motion to approve them, though. Yes, Marcus. Is there a seconder? Yeah, thank you. Anybody opposed to the ratification of January 13th regular council meeting minutes? If not, we can accept them by unanimity. Okay, thank you very much. Point 9B, cats. Gabe.
So I'll start with the motion. Whereas the Concordia administration co-sponsored charges against 25 students carrying out democratically decided upon mandates during the spring student strike of 2015. Whereas student associations have a right to make democratic collective decisions that are binding and respected by the entire Concordia community. Whereas these charges have forced students to undergo an arduous 8-month-long process that has had a negative impact on their mental health and academic performance. Whereas the Concordia Against Tribunals, CATS campaign, has developed to stand in solidarity with students in order to raise awareness as well as apply pressure on the administration. Whereas students, professors, and organizations have been signing onto the CATS demands as adopted by the CATS Assembly of January 12, 2015. Whereas, according to Article 11.6 of our positions book, the CSU opposes the use of internal university judicial means against students to solve questions of a political nature. Be it resolved that the Concordia Student Union officially sign on to the following list of demands. The first one being under the banner drop the charges, that the university retract itself as a co-complainant, the professors drop the charges, and then we stop the tribunal process immediately. And the second one under the banner of reparations for students, that amnesty for all students charged, an official letter of apology from the university, and support to alleviate mental health impact suffered by students charged.
Thank you. That is a motion. Seconded by Marcus. Care to motivate?
So yeah, as I'm assuming a lot of you have heard about the campaign already, we've talked about it at council. It's been a lot of the reports that we've been coming out of the external committee and stuff. And right now we're at the stage within the campaign where we're trying to look for support from different organizations. So some organizations have already signed on to the campaign, and more to come. I've emailed pretty much every field group now, and lots of student associations. So we're looking for not only students and professors, but also organizations to support the demands of the CATS campaign, to demonstrate to the university that the entire Concordia community, as opposed to the actions that they took with regards to the student strikes in 2015. So as a symbolic way of getting that ball rolling, I thought it would be great if the CSU itself can adopt the demands in an official way through council. Yeah, sort of get the ball rolling on organizations signing on to these demands. So, yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, Jenna.
Is part of the demands to change the code?
Yeah, response?
So that was a discussion that was had during the CATS assembly of January 12th, but there was a little bit of debate about how that would mean and how that would actually be implemented. So instead, a committee was struck with all the people that were interested on it to look at that question specifically, what kind of more actionable demands we could take, and then come back with it at another assembly. So for now, there isn't one, but the idea is that potentially in the future, there would be something that would be developed by the individuals that are working around CATS at the CATS assembly. So, yeah.
Yes, Charles.
I'm not sure if this is something I should bring up. I just noticed some spelling mistakes in this document. I don't know if this is a final draft. That's all I had though.
Okay, yeah. So maybe you guys can exchange. But Gabe, yeah.
Please edit without shame. Just go ahead and do it. If you want to make the motions, that's totally fine.
Oh, okay, yeah, it just says that people are singing onto the CATS demands. And that might be a fun way to sign on. The song was great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We are singing now.
Yeah. Okay, so that was actually. No. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Were there other typos that you noticed?
No, I think that was actually the only one I noticed. Consciously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe for formality's sake then, just a motion to amend the minutes to correct that grammatical error.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Charles. Is there a seconder to the amendment? Michael, thank you. I don't think we need a lot of debate here. Can that simply be a friendly amendment? Fantastic, thank you. All right, speakers list for the main motion. Yes, Michael.
I think it goes without saying, but I think that regardless of political positions, this is really consistent with a position adopted by council last year, and it's only consistent logically to support this motion. I think if we're going to stick to our positions book and the positions we've adopted in the past, so yeah.
Thank you. All right, if there's nothing further, we can proceed to a vote. Those in favor of the motion, please raise your placards. And those opposed? And any abstentions? Thank you very much, that carries. Gabe, anything further? All right. Daycare design phase 2. Marion, I imagine this is your point? Take it away.
I will read the motion. So whereas the CSU Daycare and Nursery is submitting a permit application to the Ministère de la Famille in order to begin construction on the building secured at 1424 Bishop Street, whereas the CSU has received promising offers of services from 2 engineering firms with experience on childcare center projects, be it resolved that a total of $20,500 plus relevant taxes be approved to complete the electrical, mechanical, and structural engineering mandates for the CSU daycare and nursery project to be expensed from the student space, accessible education, and legal contingency fund. Be it further resolved that the previous be contingent on the approval from the fund committee in accordance with special bylaws I and J.
That is the motion. Thank you very much. Seconded by David. Thank you. Motivation?
Yes. So we actually got the architect who we've been working with since the late spring of last year to help us put together a call out asking for the services of engineers. So she put together all the technical needs of the building and what we'd be looking for in a contract from a structural engineer and a mechanical, electrical. I'm not good at building stuff, so I hope the engineers aren't gonna correct me on my building inaccuracies. Anyway, and so she took care of that information, I did not. And then we got several proposals from different firms, and we looked through them together and saw that these ones had experience on other, either CPE, public, Centre de la Petite Enfance, so public daycares or private daycares. So they have very relevant experience with this kind of project. And we'd like to get them started on doing those technical plans for the building.
Great. Thank you. Speakers list. Luis?
So I saw in the document submitted there were so 2 different firms. Could you just like expand a bit on like what each is doing? Like I gather that they're not like talking about the same thing, but there seems to be some overlap too, maybe? I don't know.
Yes, so the people who know about building stuff look these over. And so from what I understand, well, one is mechanical and electrical. So I think that means doing like the inside wiring, right? And all of that stuff. And the other one is structural. So that would be like rebuilding, I'm looking at the engineers over here, but that's like fixing our staircase and that kind of thing, right? So the two, they do different pieces of the project. And the people who looked these over said, oh yeah, okay, this makes sense that these 2 pieces are being cared for by these 2 different firms. So Planco is the mechanical and electrical, and then Havre is the structural side.
Yeah, follow?
Yeah. So those firms are like doing the other side, right?
Sorry?
Those firms are doing the other side of those like parts, and there's still like other firms that have to be hired to do the actual work.
So yeah, so these firms prepare the plan so they can go to construction, and then they do the oversight during the construction period. Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, the mega blocks that the engineering department donated to us, we found out that those were not enough to structurally prepare the building, so we're having to make use of these firms. Terry told me not to tell that joke at council, but I did.
Well, that seems to exhaust discussion. Those in favor of the motion? All right, those opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you very much. That carries. Point D, Cues Accord transition. Sorry to rush you, Terry.
So I hope everyone received the document. For folks, I guess, who weren't on council up until the by-election, I guess this might be relatively new, but we had passed a pretty comprehensive proposal back in the summer that talked largely about the startup of Reggie's, but also, more importantly, one could argue the transition of Reggie's and its governance. So when we went over the timeline over the summer, we specifically focused our efforts on the front end of Reggie's, making it operational, making it so students can take advantage of the community space, reopen Reggie's after the long overdue pause that Reggie's had undergone, to have a pretty substantial, I think, well done renovation. It took several years. 2 different executive teams had worked on it, but ultimately I think students are quite pleased with what we've been able to produce downstairs, and this is just the second phase of that project. And I had made an analogy. I'm not really techie, but I spoke with some people in advance and they said it made sense. I had spoken about how, sorry, I'm just pulling up what I've written here. Yes, the front end of Reggie's renovation and operation took precedent over the back end of its governance. So for an ordinary student who's interested, whose priority is having an open Reggie's, we figured that was important to prioritize. But now we can focus on the long-term implications of the governance structure. And in the proposal, I have it right here, but this is what we had circulated over the summer and presented. It talks about trying to disassociate Reggie's management and governance from the CSU, because you have three different entities. Well, not three different entities, but you have three different organs. You have the CSU and its council, and you have CUSA Corp and Reggie's, and Reggie's is being overseen by CUSA Corp, and that led to a lot of conflation in terms of the mandates that individuals would have, and it's actually hard to speak when the person who's typing is right there. I never sat next to the secretary, so I didn't think of it being that loud. But basically, yeah, but like keep typing, sorry. Like I've never sat at this spot next to the secretary. Or sorry, the minute keeper. So I think that over the years that it's been quite well known that there's been problematic governance issues at Reggie's. There's been recurring deficits. It hasn't been, I guess, transparency and accountability were big issues in the past, and we would like to have greater independence for Reggie's in order to focus the management of Reggie's to strictly have one mandate, as opposed to trying to have the organization managed by a group of students who also have a lot of other responsibilities, such as the council here, which is to represent students and defend their interests. You know, there's a lot of other roles that we play as a council, and there might be, or there has been in the past, a conflation of the different mandates and the responsibilities that we have. So what's been put together is a proposal here to move forward with the independence of Reggie's through a solidarity cooperative structure. In the past, in the original document that we had circulated in the summer, we talked about turning Reggie's into a nonprofit. The philosophy behind that was to focus on servicing the community and not trying to essentially profit off of student social activity. And I think that the governance model that we're proposing still adheres to that. Unfortunately, after further consultation with our legal team, we came to the awareness of how the specific category that we were trying to incorporate under as a nonprofit, which was a mutual benefit non-for-profit corporation, cannot apply to our circumstance because of how Reggie's primary operation is alcoholic commercial activity, whereas the example that was given in our research was Legion Hall. Does everyone know what a Legion Hall is for the most part? So a Legion Hall has a lot of other activities that they do besides servicing alcohol, so they're able to maintain that nonprofit status, but also serve alcoholic beverages as part of their day-to-day operations, whereas with Reggie's, it doesn't matter how you look at it, like what angle you take, although there's a lot of shows taking place and people are eating food. The primary function of Reggie's is to serve alcohol, and that is not consistent with the laws around nonprofit organizations and how we would like to move forward. So this is an alternative. The group CDR has been around since 1980, I have it in the motion here, 1983, and they've worked to produce over 300 cooperatives in Quebec, so they have a lot of experience, and they have worked with organizations that are cooperatives and service alcohol and things like this. Like there's some cooperative bars that aren't student bars in Montreal and in Quebec, and they've actually worked with some of them, so that gives us a lot of confidence in their capacity. But I just realized now that I should have started by reading the motion, but I did not do that. So.
Well, yeah, I'll take responsibility for that. I think I could have given you a chance to sit down and get collected before I proceeded to this agenda item. So,
right.
But I don't think it's too big a deal. Do you want to read the motion?
Sure. So I'll read the motion, and I guess I can just finish up talking a little bit.
Or the other way around if you'd like.
Okay, perfect. So I don't think our intention here is to, air the dirty laundry of Reggie's. Like if you just do a quick search on the link or the Concordia, you can find out about its questionable practices in the past. It's more about looking to the future and looking to a way to produce a model of governance that includes multiple stakeholders and has the ability for membership-driven direction. So that means that those who frequent Reggie's a lot and who are passionate about using Reggie's as a hub to promote student life can get involved with that space. Whereas in the past there was kind of a meandering route to get involved with Reggie's, which would then lead individuals to like I had mentioned in the past, kind of conflate different responsibilities. So by having an independent an independent Reggie's, you're able to create a scenario where there is no ability for the CSU to, I guess, financially relieve Reggie's in the case where they are facing financial issues. Like they will be legally responsible for maintaining their own balance of accounts, which is important and promotes accountability. And I just think it prevents the scenario where you have a lot of neglect in terms of the oversight of the operation of the bar, because that's definitely been historical of that space. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead. And
so we'll just read out the motion and go right to a speakers list.
Okay. So, whereas Council mandated the Executive to begin the process of dissolving QSACOR in the summer of 2015, whereas the legal independence of Reggie's is in the long-term interest of the CSU, Reggie's own management, and the broader Concordia community, whereas the CDR has contributed to the creation of almost 300 cooperatives since 1983 and has previously collaborated with the CSU in the development of the Hive Cafe, be it resolved that Council approve the contract for services from the CDR and the associated $868.06 expense from the Student Space Accessible Education Legal Contingency Fund in accordance with Special Bylaws I and J.
That is a motion. Is there a seconder? Second, Marcus, thank you. So we'll just go right into a speakers list. Luis?
I have two questions. The first one is, I'm just wondering what, if I understand well, that would mean that the Reggie's would become a member of CDR?
Yeah.
What does that entail exactly? How does that work?
Is that both your questions?
Well, no, I guess I have another question. But
Okay, no problem. So CDR is a resource hub, so they do a lot of consultation work. Like throughout the first year of Reggie's cooperative being in existence, we can continuously consult them. They help us produce our bylaws and organize the first annual general meeting. And I think just, hold on, just give me 1 second here. I had anticipated this as being a concern because I didn't have time to go over it. So can I just read out some bullet points? I had information about Cooperatives Act, training about cooperatives to the directors and members. So it's important that the inaugural set of board of directors have training on what their responsibilities are. Training about roles in the bodies, so the board of directors versus the general meeting, the annual general meeting, kind of emphasizing the importance of respecting the boundaries between the two instances, assisting to organize and register the cooperative. You can ask for assistance in preparing meetings, annual reports, and revising your bylaws. So it's more like a resource hub that you have access to by being a member. And they also have assistance about legal obligations for cooperatives. So if you're just unsure about, unsure about certain, legal aspects, you want to have someone to check in with and not have to pay legal fees. Everybody loves lawyers, but they don't like paying their fees. So you have tools for associative life, so like how to promote a sense of community. They just have like some best practices that you can have access to, and information on some general fiscal programs, so they might help you evaluate your budget. The CDR in the past has helped a lot of private entities turn into cooperatives, so just naturally there is a transition that takes place on the fiscal side. Perhaps not with Reggie's, because usually there's a mentality of where there's a lot of profit-driven operations. But in this case, all we're trying to do, since the bar has been set quite low in terms of the performance of Reggie's, is try and break even and not have to be bailed out, right? So by making it independent, you're kind of forcing the issue onto that organization. So that's some of the services that we would take advantage of, and it's $100. So I think it's quite a modest fee for the needs that we face currently.
All right, and your follow-up?
Yeah, well, just a follow-up on this one. It's, so that comes with like no string attached. Is that the government agency or?
So CDR is sponsored by the government, so they do receive funding through, I'm not sure like what ministry, but basically the government subsidizes the ability of the CDR to charge less to cooperative groups across the province.
Yeah, the other question was about in a bright future when Reggie's might turn a profit someday, where would this profit go then?
Right, so that's a pretty important question. Although there might be a certain perception on campus about what a cooperative is, it's not a non-profit entity. Like co-ops are for profit, but usually there's a social mandate that's written into the constitution of the co-op. So with Reggie's, for instance, given that there's a vibrant community that it's embedded in, I'm sure that with any profits that Reggie's may record, they would be interested in fostering like a stronger community, so maybe putting on some like benefit shows or concerts and things like this, or collaborating with other non-profit groups, like maybe they might have a partnership with Head and Hands or on-campus groups instead. Ultimately, it's up to the AGM, it's up to the members of the co-op to decide what they do with the profits, but in the past, there might be a consideration of increasing wages of staff if it's doing really well, or reducing prices if that's possible. But I think that in the short term, it's going to be like that would be a very luxurious question to have to deal with. But I think I provided some options as to how that could go.
Speakers list is open. All right, if there's nothing further, we can proceed to a vote. Those in favor of the motion? All right, those opposed? Abstentions? Great, that carries. Yes, Terry.
So I feel like it was a little bit ad hoc how I had just come in and this point had come up. However, I think it's really important to recognize that there's a large impact in terms of what we had just decided to do as a council. Like, we are saying enough to having an organization that's leading and taking away from the mandate of the CSU. And I think a lot of the work that we do in terms of representation at the university and the campaigns that we put together and the various projects that we work on will only be strengthened by having Reggie's become independent from the CSU, so that the CSU can concentrate on its core mission, which is improving the student condition, and independent Reggie's can focus on promoting student life through various social activity. And I think that's really important. So this is a really big step for the organization. It's going to fundamentally change the way it operates into the future, as opposed to, before the fall of 2013 when it was open. So this was a big deal, and I'm really happy to see that people are enthused by the new direction that we want to take Reggie's.
And thank you very much for being able to juggle the various hats that you have to wear as you've come in and were able to present this.
Right, yeah, it was a little wordy, but that's unavoidable, I think. Yeah.
Well, on that note, I think it smells like a motion to recess. I may be wrong. Yes, Charles.
Motion to eat pizza.
Okay. Do we have a timeline?
15 minutes.
Okay, great. Is there a second? Michael, anyone opposed to a 15-minute recess? Otherwise, we'll reconvene at 7:38. Vote, great.
Well, seeing as the next 2 points are in closed session, I encourage someone from council to move to go into closed session.
Lucy.
I move to go to closed session.
Okay, is there a second? Marcus? Those in favor of going to closed session, please raise your placards. Those opposed? All right, thank you very much. So I'll do that media close up while I move into closed session. Okay, nothing to add, then announcements. Yes, Jason.
As you all know, the PSA is going through its accreditation. Nerve-wracking, frightening. On Monday we opened our polling station and we only got 91 votes out of a needed 375. The following day we got 109 and today 110. We're at 295 votes with 2 days to go. We only need 80 people. This is the greatest turnout the PSA has ever seen. Incredible mobilization. So I want to just big thank you to all of you who shared our posts, spread the word. Just one last push and the PSSA is going to be there. Thank you very much.
Great. Yeah, Lucy.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Basically, this is going to be a little bit longer for an announcement. I'll stand up for this one. As you all know, I'm a big part of EMAC. Amir and I have been working very hard on a very special event that's occurring in participation with the Nuit Blanche de Montreal. So this is a very one of the most renowned artistic festivals in our city, and it's also internationally renowned as well. And we're going to be partnering with them, as well as Festival Chromatique, Ableton, for music producers who know who they are. They're a music production company based from Berlin and LA. And also other organizations such as Art Nest. And with the design students as well, we're going to be organizing a conference and exposition that's going to showcase the work of students at Concordia University. And this is going to be taking place throughout the whole day on February 27th. We are doing a call for artists, so we encourage all Concordia students, tell your friends, tell your family, whoever that would be interested to come and participate, give us a shout. As well as if you have any other groups that like to get involved and like to get a little bit of exposure for their work and so on, tell them to reach out to us as well, because this is a really great opportunity to also meet and network with very I would say great valued companies in the arts and music industries in Montreal. We're going to have people there from Sidley. Chromatique is also very renowned as well within the design industry and computational arts. We're going to have different music companies and artists that are going to be from different countries as well as other different groups that are involved within that whole culture. Great opportunity to network and meet these people. So I really encourage all of you to spread the good word through your networks, because this is the first time that an association, aside from Art Matters, first time that a Concordia association, a Concordia group of students, well, it's a student-run, non-for-profit organization, is getting involved with a festival like this. So it's going to be really good for our university, great exposure. I'm also happy to say that CGLO is now on board with us, so thank you, Lucy.
Okay.
So we're going to try and do a live broadcast throughout that evening with them. So with the help of CGLO. So we're very happy to get all the Concordia, as many Concordia groups as we can involved. So guys, jump on board if you want to. Tell your friends, tell your families. I'm going to pass over some flyers for the call for artists, so you can have a physical copy of it. But I'll also send some links on the council Facebook page, so you can have more information on that. So looking forward to it, guys. Hope you want to participate.
Great.
And if you don't, show up. Come have a good time for sure. Yeah.
Lucy.
Sustainable Concordia is hiring a new external and campaigns coordinator. The applications deadline is for the 31st, so the end of the weekend. It's an amazing job. It's you work with amazing people. If there's anyone you think in your networks who would be interested in doing really quality work on campus for sustainability, please direct them to a listing. You can find it on the Sustainable Concordia website, sustainableconcordia.ca. But yeah, it's a good job, and people should apply for it.
Thanks. Gary.
I just had a question for Ruben.
Oh yeah, sure.
You said that the day was the 27th of February.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's during reading week, eh?
Yeah, it's the beginning of reading week.
Okay.
Yeah, right at the beginning. So.
That's the end.
It's the end? Oh, sorry. So it is the end of reading
Okay.
week.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
That's even better. Yeah. It's Saturday. Yeah, it's Saturday. And Nuit Blanche is, the translation is all-nighter, basically. So it's a festival where the metros and buses are open all night. So its festivities happening for 2 weeks. This one is going to take place from noon until 6:30 in the morning. Wow. Obviously, alcoholic beverages will be, refreshments will be sold until 3 a.m. But aside from that, it's going to be an all-day event.
Cool. Great. Yeah, Layla?
So I'd like to, this is another event, promotion, but I'd like to invite you all and all of your networks to the playground that's happening at Loyola in the FC Smith complex from February 17th to 20th. And it's a really exciting new model that the theater department's trying out for productions. Usually, back in the day, the theater department used to do 6 productions a year. Now they're down to 3, but usually they're 3 one play kind of situations. But this is a new model they're trying out based off a project that started in Vancouver called The Hive. And it's a group of 5 different pieces that are being put together that are site-specific and are in various parts of the FC Smith complex. And it's sort of a new approach to interdisciplinary performance creation, which is one of the new programs that the theater department is merging 3 of their existing programs into. And it's really exciting. I'm part of it, and I'm really excited about it, especially because it breaks down a lot of the hierarchies that are usually in a lot of productions. And the way the evening works is you attend, there's a bar, you have the chance to go see the 5 different productions within the complex at whatever rate you want and whenever you want. And you pay, they have one pay what you can night, and then otherwise it's $5 for students to attend the whole event. So for $5 or less, you could see 5 different pieces of theater. And one part that's really important to the groups is politicizing the accessibility issues around the FC Smith complex, which is virtually entirely inaccessible. There's so many stairs, and it's if you use a wheelchair, there are very few spaces that are available, which is a huge problem considering that every year there's at least one production that happens at Loyola. So it's really important to us that that be politicized as part of this project. So my own project, as well as one other project, are entirely accessible. One takes place in the chapel, and my personal one takes place through the internet and with a lot of cables onto monitors outside the chapel. And it's the more people who attend, the better, both in bringing attention to all these accessibility issues in the FC Smith, and also because the FC Smith finally got Wi-Fi, and the more people that use it, the more likely they are to install a permanent Wi-Fi solution into the building, which would be really important considering that it's 2016. So it would be really great to see you all there, and there's an event on Facebook, and I'll post it in the council group. The date's February 17th to 20th. It's the Wednesday to Saturday before reading.
What time does it start?
It starts at 7 p.m. I think. It's 2 hours long, and you can arrive and leave whenever you want.
Yeah, I'll add something really quick, and it'll be reiterated in my next chairperson's report, but I received the student status check for the semester and distributed it to everybody. The person who is no longer on council because they have not passed it is Terry Ngala, and as I understand, because of a burgeoning career in music, it's a shame to see him go, but I think that everyone here wishes him all the best. I certainly do. Luis?
Oh yeah, just to add to that, I saw this sheet and I was surprised to see some positions that I don't like really part of CSU, such as the president and vice president.
Yeah, that's true. That's true indeed. Yeah, I'll update that contact info. It reflects it. No, hey, it's true. I'm sure that it wasn't to be an overnight process, but thank you. To be honest. Terry?
Are we done the question period? Is there anyone else on the list?
Well, Marcus is itching for something, but I'm sure it's not an announcement.
Yeah, it's moved to table announcements indefinitely, and then adjourn.
I'll take the second part.
That's non-debatable.
There's a motion to adjourn. Secretary Armani, does anyone call for the vote? Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, I did. Yeah.